Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mount Moriah Radio and Mount Moriah Television. And this is your host, Juliet Hammond. And this is Inspiring Time with Juliet. So please get your friends around and gather people around you and let us talk and discuss. The topic
Hmm.
today is empowering communities to sit on decision making boards. I know
Okay.
how difficult it is for people to, sit on these decision making boards, and I also know the benefits that
Okay.
comes from it. So today we're
Hmm.
going to discuss, we're going to analyze, and we're going to go into details about sitting on these decision making boards. And I have a powerful woman with me, a wonderful guest. This lady will help to explore this topic in details. She is an elected politician in the United Kingdom. She holds a postgraduate degree, including honorary doctorate. She
Mhm.
studied development and macroeconomics from one of UK's prestigious universities. She also runs her own successful business, her own boutique management consultancy. She works closely with government bodies in the United Kingdom, in Europe, and in the Middle East as well. She
Hmm.
is most interested in social care and health policies and how they are implemented. This lady works with the royal family and has sat and still sitting on boards of top decision makers. She's a mother and she's a wife, and I'm so privileged to have her here with me. Thank you, Dr. Chancellor Mrs. Moriah Priestley. You're welcome to Max Moriah Show.
Good
You're welcome.
evening.
Welcome
Good
to
evening,
me. You
Professor.
know, wow, 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 wow. You have done a lot and still doing a lot at the moment. Please, I know I have said a little
Thank
bit
you.
about you. Tell us more about yourself. Wow, I enjoy.
Goodness.
I just want to say,
You've
I'm so.
literally
I just want to say thank you
you've
so
read
much
it
for coming.
all. You've read it all. I'm not quite sure what else to say. But I think the key thing with me, to be honest, Professor, is that I'm a lover of empowerment, a lover of supporting people to get from A to B. And I guess the word that we all use around that is social mobility, and I know a lot of times in the UK, there's a lot of feeling that there is a restraint on people in terms of you're born in this section of society, you die in that section of society. And that's not the way the universe wants things. People are meant to grow, to evolve, to change, to develop, to improve. And as they improve their lives, the things and the quality around them should improve as they improve themselves. And if, I'm asked about what is your key purpose, your USP. It's about improvement, empowerment, and support of people, of organizations, and of systems.
Of course, you're doing all of that and you're doing more. What made you go into politics in first instance? Why the
Hmm.
interest? I can see you
Wow,
like
that
to.
that yeah. Gosh, that's a big question, and I did think about it, and there's so much. But if I may, I'd like to tell a story of, what really spurred me on. Back in the day when I was studying for my undergrad, I used to travel a lot from the south coast of the country back to London, where I had family, aunties, friends, for breaks and all of that. And I
Yeah,
would go past Liverpool Street Station, and I'm sure, you're a traveling woman yourself, and you've been to Liverpool Street, how busy it is and
yeah,
everything. And, sometimes you'd be pressed, you want to go to the loo. And I
yeah,
remember not once, not twice, going into that big loo, where I have to pay and quickly go in. The
yeah.
ladies. that would clean those loos, I just struck up relationships so much so that when if I saw them last 2 weeks and I'm coming back the next 2 weeks, Mariah, hi, Titi, how are you? We start developing a conversation. So I decided to ask a bit more about their lives, and you wouldn't believe it, Juliet. Some of these ladies one of them had an PhD in microbiology, and the other one had started a business in another part of the world that went belly up for some horrible reason. So she relocated as an economic migrant. But 5 years later, she was still cleaning the loos in the fifth largest economy in the world. And to be honest, it did something to me. And I felt, well, I was always taught that education was the answer. Once you get that degree, you're off and away, and nothing can stop you. So it sort of messed with
Mm.
my psyche, and I thought, how can people with PhDs be cleaning toilets? It didn't register. And then I graduated, and I started work, and I began to see some of the challenges it takes for people to enter the market, the job market, and not just that, entering the market at the right position, for that equates to their academic qualifications and their
Yeah,
experience. And there's a
yeah.
real disconnect. I mean, about this is
Mm.
about 20 years ago. I'm glad to say things have improved, but not so much from my
Mm.
point of view. And so when I met those ladies, it stirred something in me in that this isn't fair. How can people have all these accolades academically and be struggling, to make ends meet by doing these sorts of jobs? Now, please don't get me wrong. Cleaning toilets is not a sin. It's not evil. What for me
Mm.
was evil was spending 4 or 5 years there without any prospect of moving forwards.
Yeah.
So it's that inequality that just set a fire in my stomach, Juliet. And I thought to myself, number one, I don't want to find myself in this position. And number two, we've got to do what we can to support people in that kind of position to better themselves and get out of that cycle that they're in. So that was one thing.
Mm.
And I think the other area that really spurred me on was the fact that I had a mentor professionally that, rest his soul, he's now moved on. He almost sought me out, he headhunted me. And each time we would meet in a professional setting for work, he'd say, Mariah, listen, I really think you need to get into politics. And I'd say, well, I smile too
Wow.
much. I'm not cut out for all that kind of stuff. And he'd say, no, behind the smile, I think you've got the determination and the drive. And he was right. And actually, he would then invite me to rallies, political rallies, policy discussions. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I thought, even if I can't make money out of this, I feel this is a vocation. So I started, running for as a paper candidate and doing things within the party. And within about 3, 4 years, I was selected onto my first level of political experience as a parish councillor. And then, yeah, I just continued from there.
Wow. Okay, so I can see what are the issues, well, what particular interest do you is challenging you? I know that you have mentioned that you saw somebody that has a PhD degree, yet cleaning a public toilet in this country
Mhm.
because the
Yeah.
immigration issues, because of perhaps the situation we can't really go into right now. But what are
Mm.
those issues that you are concerned about right now that is happening and you will want to see change?
Wow. Where do I start? I think there are key issues in terms of the economic standing of the country with regards to people being able to access jobs. And
Yeah.
it's a big statement because there's so much involved in that. For example, the bringing in of AI and technology. I was talking about that with, my husband and a few others the other day. And, somebody in that circle was saying, oh, well, it's a good thing, isn't it? And I agree, it is a good thing. But
Yeah.
the downside of it is the rate at which we are having people in the UK who are not developing themselves to a point where they will be competing with AI for jobs
Mhm.
is high from my point of view. And also because a lot of the work I do is in skills and economic development. So I work with quite a lot of raw data. And I find that, we're still having quite a big number of people who graduate from A level, from GCSEs, maybe not going into university. They're
Mhm.
still doing some form of education, but they still end up going into ASDA. And again, I'll say there's nothing wrong with that, but it's the
Mm.
fact that because they don't have those qualifications to move maybe into middle management or even into other industries, they're stuck in that place for more than they should be 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Mm.
And when AI becomes fully loaded, fully live, a lot of those people will find themselves without work, Juliet. And we're already in a time pressure cooker in the UK with overloaded social benefits and all sorts going on. And, to have another couple of million, say in about 2, 3 years, joining that list, can't even begin to think of the pressure on the system and what that would mean for social safety, for people who don't have enough jobs. Some people may turn to crime, others may turn out frustration in antisocial behavior, and other knock on effects that I would say, we need to watch out for. I think the other key area is the issue of community safety, because as a counselor, I work a lot with the community. And more than ever now, we're seeing a rise in antisocial behavior, stabbings, in places that you wouldn't normally think to see that. And I find myself thinking, what is behind that? Is it the frustration of not having life chances? Is it lack of education? Is it family issues that's spilling out into the streets? So I think community safety is another very big issue for me. And I think the other key issue that is really presenting itself is the Brexit, and the effect that that's having on, businesses in the UK. So, yeah, those are just a few of the things that I think are main issues.
Yeah. Is there any, I'm sorry, this is probably out of your area, but I just wanted to know, are there particular issues of concerns? I know this is a generalized, what you've just mentioned, generalized issues that you have,
Mm, mm,
concerning the community as a whole. But have you
mm,
looked at perhaps the black minority group, the ethnic group, living in the United Kingdom? Are there
mm.
issues of pertinence, any issues that is of your concern right now, that is particularly concerning you right now?
Mm. I think, like I say, the issue of community safety, I've made it an umbrella term. But when you
Yeah,
start to unpack what that means,
yeah.
there are quite a few issues of community cohesion, which is another aspect where you have, residents who are from an ethnic minority, maybe not getting on with more indigenous residents, issues about intimidation, racist attacks, and they are quite visible in terms of what I see on the
Mm,
ground when I work with constituents and residents. These are things that I'm dealing with as we're talking. I'm involved with the police, so
mm,
it's not as if I'm dreaming them up. This is what I'm seeing
yeah.
in communities that I'm elected over, and I have to deal with issues. So I think that's one big issue. I
Mm,
think the other area for me is, and I have to mention it, the whole Windrush scare and the
mm,
whole issue around the the shipping of people into Rwanda, you know, and I know these are things that are still going through legislation and the whole process, but the fact that we're in a country where that is being considered, I think makes a lot of people from ethnic minorities a little uncomfortable, in fact, quite a bit
Yeah,
uncomfortable in terms
yeah,
of what could happen next. Today it's Windrush, tomorrow, what will it be? You know,
mm,
and if they're thinking of shipping off illegal immigrants or whatever, you know, category they want to put those people in, what will happen to others?
yeah,
So I think these are real issues. And we all know what happened in 2020, you know, with the whole uprising with George Floyd.
yeah,
You know, I know it's more prominent in America, but there are still concerns in the UK
yeah,
about issues around that, which is also linked to social mobility as well. Mm.
mm. Wow. I know that your interest really is on social care policies and also healthcare policies and all of that.
Uh,
What do you know about what do you think about sitting in board of of
mm,
decision makings? What does that
mm,
really entail? Just talk us through it, what it means.
okay. So for me, sitting on decision-making boards is really some people make it into a career now. I mean, I know, just from my understanding, there are people who sit on three, four boards that, you know, they have remuneration, and that's the way people, you know, get by and make ends meet to take care of themselves and their families.
Yeah.
But for me, I think decision making boards are more than that. It's an opportunity to engage with the system. And the system is a system at large, you know, in terms of how the country runs, how things work in education and health and housing. And there are different platforms, boards for example, let's take housing. I was talking to the chairman of a particular leading housing association in the northeast a few days ago, and he's actually going to be coming to speak on BN Leadership series of, you know, sort of group mentoring, sorry, group coaching seminar. And he was talking to me about possibilities of people coming onto his board for his housing association to support in terms of engagement
Mhm,
with their housing, with the residents, to support in terms of finances, but also to support in terms of planning, strategic planning for where the housing association will be in the next 5 years, 10, well, 5, 7 years. So it's an opportunity really to get involved with large organizations or small organizations to see how you can contribute to how those organizations run. So, for example, I used to sit on a board of a national young people's organization a few years ago. I think it was the largest in the UK, but you know, now I'm not quite sure. But it was an opportunity to work with young people right across the southeast coast of the country in terms of looking at how they wanted to develop employment opportunities for young people using the support of that particular organization. And it was really exciting. I got to sit with the CEO and the board of directors. I got to do a lot of engagement with young people, but then use the feedback to then work with the CEO to plan, you know, okay, what direction is this organization going, given what young people have said to us about their
mm.
understanding of their prospects, and what they would like to see. So it was a very, very educative time, but also gave me a real opportunity to engage with issues for young people, but also helping that organization to plan and move forward. It was great. Yeah.
Do you think people are seeking to sit on those positions or sit on those boards where policies are made? Do you think people are taking any interest in them? And why should we
I think
take
so.
interest?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I mean, it's not for everybody, but I think for those who are very interested in leadership at a strategic level,
Mm,
and maybe politics isn't for them, and they just want to get involved in an organization at the highest level to steer the way that organization moves, then sitting on boards is a perfect way to do that. Um, I would say it also brings skills. It gives you skills in terms of the board, the organization would then train you in terms of things like maybe project management or strategic planning or financial management, that sort of thing. So you actually come out from that experience with, training that would arm you to go into the working world and be marketable. It's a very good opportunity for that. And also, I
mm,
think it's a good opportunity for leadership, understanding what leadership is, managing people, managing
yeah.
relationships, managing crises. And it's not for
Mm,
everybody. If what you just want is to get your job and to, do well in that. But for those who are interested in that sort of higher level leadership, then yeah, boards is a good way to do that. I think
mm,
also for me, what boards have done is open my eyes to other opportunities. And also it gives visibility. So it gives you, as the person
yes,
sitting on that board, visibility. So
that's
what
right.
I have now is the same way I have a work CV, I have a board CV, which lists all the boards I've been on, the skills I've picked up, what I've delivered, and you use that to move on to other boards, and it's a key way to get yourself visible
Mm,
on a local, regional, national, or even international level. Yeah.
wow. Was one of my guests not too long ago, and he is aspiring to become the mayor. And those are policies, those are policy levels, those are leadership level at a very strategic, position. And
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, for us, what could be what could be hindrances? What could hinder people from
Hmm.
applying, perhaps trying to be elected to become part of the decision making board, or even becoming a leader, an MP, or whatever? What could be some of the hindrances? And how can people
Yeah.
overcome it?
Hmm.
It yeah.
If I'm really honest with you, I think one thing I've found with many people that we've talked one on one or sometimes even in groups is just the lack of confidence. Do they really want somebody like me? Do they want, I don't know, a black African woman?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
do I have what it takes intellectually? Would I really fit in with that sort of, in that sort of place? And so I think there's an issue about fear and a lack of confidence that is a big, big barrier. And you're a coach, so you'd understand what I mean by limiting beliefs. When you limit
that's
yourself in your mind, everything around you is limited. So even with that, people just sign themselves out of actually what could be a very not just lucrative but fulfilling career in board leadership.
mm,
And I think the other area is understanding and awareness of how to engage with the process.
yeah.
There's a lot of as 9 to 5 people, we all know how difficult it is. You go out in the morning, you don't come back till the evening. By that time, you don't have much energy left. If you're a family person, you give your energy to cooking, the children. By the time you do, you're finished.
Yeah, you don't have any
So I
time.
understand.
You are involved in
You don't,
church as
and
well. You don't have the time.
exactly,
That's
that's the other thing.
true.
Yeah. So
Mm,
a lot of people don't even have that awareness that there's this whole other world out there that actually creates the jobs that they're working, that creates those opportunities that they have. And I think that's another key issue, lack of awareness of those opportunities out there. So a couple of
Mm,
years ago, BN Leadership worked with the Cabinet Office and the Queen's department in there to support people to get understand what it was to get MBEs,
yeah.
DBs, what's the other one? OBs, all those
Oh,
Queen's Honors Awards. And we actually
yeah.
worked with community leaders right across the country. Birmingham, Manchester, we pulled them together and we finished up the whole road show at the House of Commons, and we had, various lords and ladies speak, and people came to me afterwards and said, "This is the first time I've ever stepped my foot into Parliament. I didn't even know we could go in there." So it was such a wonderful thing seeing people become aware of what is possible and feel empowered and confident enough to go for those opportunities.
Mm,
So I think that awareness is a big one. And awareness of what the opportunity is, awareness of how to access it. And I think the other key area is support when you're in there, when you're in a board where you're elected as a politician. It's not easy. I remember when I first
because
got
you
elected
have to work.
a couple,
Yeah, you have to
sorry?
work to maintain your position, isn't
You have
it?
to, seriously, and you have to get used to all the cultures and the norms and understand, what things mean and actually begin to operate at that level. And it's not something that just comes like that. You have to have support in it. And as I said to you, I was talking to this CEO of a housing association day before yesterday, and he said, "Look, Mariah, people see you, with the big title, CEO, they think you're this wonderful person." And he said, "Nobody on earth is self-made.
Yeah.
Everybody had help." And that was so humbling for me to hear that.
That
We
is
all need help, no matter how great we are. Even Rishi in number 10, he had help to get there. So
true.
I think the key issue for me is when you're in there, what kind of support can you access to, keep you mentally strong, keep you
Yeah.
emotionally together, teach you how to work and move in those circles. And for me, that's another key area that even if people do get in, without that support, they quickly fall out
Mm,
or are caught
mm,
out. That's the other thing. If they don't fall out, they're caught out and they have to leave. So
mm.
yeah, I think those are the
And
barriers and challenges.
yeah. That takes me to the next question I would like to ask. There are people already sitting on those policy making boards, and
Mhm.
I feel concerned about some of them because some of the things that they say, the way their attitude, and do you have the same concern towards some of the people sitting on those decision making boards? I get surprised sometimes about some comments that they make, the way they
Mm.
things. I don't know. What do you think? Because you are there and you
Yeah,
know what is going on.
yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, Professor, I'm just sometimes when you're in those situations, you've got to play things not by ear, but be very careful, be very diplomatic about how you react to people and what you say, because anything you say can be misconstrued or taken out of context. But I do find myself wondering what kind of support they have in order
Mm,
to continue working on those boards or even as politicians, and actually in the first place, how did they get there? So I do share your concerns about some of them. But what I do know is in order to be successful at that sort of thing, or at that level, you need that support behind the scenes. So for example, I have people that after I do a talk like this, I have to sit down and say, okay, how did that go? They give me feedback. That was why I was asking you for the recording. Maybe you could have said this and in this way, a little bit more refined. So I have people that advise me on that and say, okay. And even politically, I have mentors. Uh, and mentors aren't there to make you feel comfortable. They're there to push you and prod you and make you feel uncomfortable so you change. So I think it's a really good thing to have. Yeah.
wow. Well, I wish you well. And
Okay.
I'm sure you're representing women and you're representing ethnic minority, you're representing the community so well. And I want to use this opportunity to say thank you for all that you've done so far and where you are at right now. Before we close, you've got so many projects. I know you've got different things that is happening that you're doing. Can you talk us through some of them and also let the viewers and perhaps some of our listeners to know about what it is that how they can connect with you or perhaps be part of what you're doing?
Yeah. I think there is one that I certainly would like to share because I know that quite a few people from Milton Keynes might want to, get involved because that's my city, that's my home. I love
Mm.
Milton Keynes. That it's
It's
part
a
of what
beautiful.
made me into what I am today. Yeah. So, a couple of months ago, I think it was October last year, I was nominated for what they call the Pioneer Women in the city. So I was nominated along 12 or 11 other ladies, for pioneering in politics, which was my area, business as well, and other people for community work and all the rest of it. And through that, I'm working with about three or four of those pioneers to actually partner with schools across Milton Keynes to support young people in terms of personal leadership development. So we should be launching at some point, third quarter, third quarter this year, I think, because things are moving at a pace. And we would love parents, people who are into education, to link up with the program. And I can certainly send you more information once we've pulled everything together and we're ready to go. So
What is
that's
it all about? Is it an education project or what is it
yeah,
about?
it's about supporting young people in their own personal leadership development. And so by that, I mean supporting them to, number one, understand themselves more in terms of, okay, I'm here now in year 7. What do I want to, helping them think ahead about what they
Mm,
want to achieve out of
mm,
junior secondary school? What sort of grades? And how do they what do they need in the ingredients to help them succeed in getting those
yeah,
grades, so like getting to school on time, working with teachers, working with colleagues, all those soft skills.
mm,
And then for the higher school, so that's the GCSEs and sixth form, helping them think to university, where they now grow into adults, adults that will one day become, citizens, responsible citizens of the country. And what we want to do there is support them to think ahead as to, okay, I'm here now. What do I really want to achieve in the next 3, 4, 5 years? I want 5 GCSEs. I want to become a doctor. If I want to become a doctor, my grades aren't good enough. What do I need to do now? So it's supporting them to get a hold of their lives and be more intentional about
yeah,
where they are going as young people, in terms of their own academia, but also their careers going forwards. And within all of that, there's going to be stuff like dealing with conflict,
yeah,
communication skills, problem solving, all the sort of soft skills that help people become leaders. This is what people like Obama and Rishi and others are doing on a daily basis, that are running countries. So we're going to be working with young people, not just myself, where a few of the pioneer women are coming together to do that. And certainly once we get all the details, I can share that with you. And
that's
it would be great if we
really
can get
amazing.
Moriah working with us as well in some shape or form.
That's absolutely amazing. Anything that will help the young people and helps the community as well. Wow.
Thank
So
you.
how can they connect with you before this project is already? Can people connect right to you directly? Come to you through us?
Yeah. Yeah, I have what do you call it, a personal email that I can share with you. But
Okay.
I'm also very, very much on LinkedIn and
Okay.
Facebook. Those are, two key areas I tend to work in. Instagram as well.
Yeah.
But I think LinkedIn, if you go into my profile, you can actually, and the profile is Moriah Priestley, and then you'll see an email at the bottom. But I can also share email details with you, Professor, so that
No problem.
you can share it with this post. And so, if people want to get in touch, get involved, yeah, it would be wonderful. The more, the merrier. Yeah.
You mentioned, I mean, your name goes alongside our organization, Matt Moriah. I never forget that the first time we met and we had to introduce ourselves, and I told you, oh my goodness, I have interest in Mariah.
And I have a
And
namesake who's your daughter. Yeah, I'd never forget.
listen,
Mm,
you have everything there going, and you are focused. That is what is coming across to me. From where I am sitting doing this interview, you seem to be a woman that is focused. You know what you are seeking. You know what you want to achieve. Despite the fact that you are at the level where you are, you still want to help young people, the communities you are in. You still want to make sure that you're making a difference in the life of people. And my prayer is that the Lord will help you to do that. The Lord will continue, towards what you are doing and make sure that you have the best results. As
amen.
Moriah,
Thank
and you are on Mount Moriah Radio, what is your last word of wisdom to the listeners and to just make it short, our listeners and viewers?
you. Okay.
Very
So for
brief.
every year, I always meditate on what the year is going to be. For me, for everything that I'm doing, people that are connected to me, and the word that kept on coming to me in December was the word invictus, which is the Latin word for invincible, unconquerable. um
Mm,
if you this word I had to try and mention it, indefatigable. So no matter what people do, they can't bring you down.
mm,
And That's for me is a real flag bearer for everybody connected to BN leadership, to me, in the sense that it's not going to be an easy year. There's so many things going on, but I think through all of it, as you say, when we remain focused, we understand what our mission is, we understand our purpose, and that can take a bit of work itself. We
mm.
will be invictus no matter what the situation. So, yeah, that's my word for this year,
Wow,
invictus.
wow, wow. Invictus. I will never forget that. I will never give up. Remain
Never,
focused. Remaining
never.
focused. Well, we have come to the end of this interview. I want to say thank you again for coming along. Even
Thank
despite
you.
your busy schedules and things, we managed to do this today. I am so privileged. I want to say thank you on behalf of Mount Moriah Radio and Mount Moriah
Thank
Television.
you. Thank you for
And
having me.
to our viewers, I want to say thank you so much for coming on and for watching. And those that are listening on the radio or on their devices, different devices, I want to say thank you so much for also joining us. Please be in touch, subscribe, and just stay, kind of keep in touch with us and be part of what we're doing. We're doing a lot, just be part of one or two things we are doing and make yourself known to us as well. Chancellor Mariah Presley, I wish you well. Thank you so much.
Thank
See you
you,
again next
Professor. Have
time.
a good evening. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.